doesn't need to all be put on you. You don't need to do everything. The kids can take ownership, and they want to. They love helping out and having, like, being a part of something bigger. Hey there, friend. I'm Katherine Barker, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the 12 classroom jobs that you can use to help build a strong classroom community. So really quick, let's just talk about why jobs are even important to have. Classroom jobs are just so wonderful because they help our kids just have a sense of like pride and ownership over the classroom. They feel like they're contributing to it, and they feel like they're just a part of the community and that they're helping out. And it just helps to kind of create this classroom environment where everyone is pitching in, we're all working together, and it really kind of makes this like teamwork, effort, camaraderie sort of feel. That's really, really wonderful just to kind of have that vibe in your classroom. It also really can kind of help you as well, because kiddos will have these tasks and responsibilities, and it's less work for you to do, right? Which is always what we want and need. Okay, so I'm just gonna share the 12 jobs that I had personally in my classroom that I absolutely loved having. The first one is obviously just the classroom line leader. You gotta have one of those. It's a coveted position, and it's kind of just important to, it just helps to eliminate any fighting over who's first in line. And it's just kind of that like easy first job to have. I always also really like to have a caboose as well. And I would tell them that their special job is to make sure that no kiddo is left behind in the classroom. And I've actually had students tell me, wait, Mrs. Barker, you know, blah, blah, blah is getting their lunch still. And I'd be like, oh, okay. It was fun and helpful to have a caboose. I would always tell them, I would use the line from Trolls, and I would say, no troll left behind. And so that would be like, I would say that's the caboose's job, is no student left behind. The next job I had was the pledge leader. So the pledge leader would just lead every morning. They'll lead the whole class in the pledge, and they would say, please stand, raise your right hand, put it over your heart, eyes on the flag, ready, begin. And it's a wonderful position to have. Another job that I had was my table washers, which is really fantastic when like glue sticks are used and the desk gets really nasty, and it's not fun when you're like having to scrub. I can't promise the table washers are going to do a phenomenal job, but what I like to do is the table washers would kind of get the icky glue, like start to get it up. Then I would come around behind them and I would kind of like wipe it up with like a towel or something. So to really help just get it. So they kind of would help just kind of get like first initial grime up. And it was really, really helpful to have. And they loved that job. The next job you can have is a librarian. So the librarian just really helps to take care of the library. They make sure that the books are put back in the correct bins. And then they also will report if any books are like need some TLC, also known as like Scotch tape. And so they would say, oh, this book is ripped, Mrs. Barker, and they put it in the book hospital, and I would, tape it, fix it, and then they would return it back to the library. The other job I had was the door holder, or like the gate holder. And so to our playground, we had like a classroom gate. So the kiddos would walk through, and I would have the gate holder open up the gate. And then as we were walking out, they would go and close the gate for us. And it was just kind of a helpful just job to have, because then I don't have to go back to the gate and close it. We would also have like a light monitor. So the light monitor just obviously turns on and off the lights. Like at any time we would use a projector, or they would also use it if we were like leaving the classroom, we needed to conserve energy and they needed to shut off the lights. Another job I had was the calendar captain. Another very popular job. So the calendar captain would help me lead the calendar. So they would get the pointer, and we would say the month, and we'd go over, count how many days we've been in the month, and we would go and they would talk about any special birthdays. We would, kind of go over all the calendar time, and they would use it with the pointer. The calendar captain basically just keeps us informed of upcoming events. I would also have a teacher's helper. And so the teacher helper for me would help me do the question of the day. So they would come up and they would go over the question of the day. We'd count how many people say yes, no, they got to write it on sticky notes. And so that was kind of typically their job, but they would also just help me with like any little things too. I would just kind of grab my teacher helper, and they would do like little tasks for like Mrs. Barker, like, oh, can you go grab this for me and bring it back to, if I was working at a small group, they would grab maybe like a book or something I forgot, and they bring it to my table. So they can kind of do any little task for you as well. You can also use the teacher helper to have them remind students of like certain procedures of how do we do things. So say students are like confused about how to put the homework folders away or where they go. I would grab my teacher helper and say, oh, can you show them where we put, X, Y, and Z, or the folders. That's also something else that you can do. They can kind of help remind students of those classroom procedures. And after this, be sure to watch my next video on how to best set up your classroom procedures. That will really make a world of difference. And I have a bonus in there that I really want to make sure that you get. So be sure to stick around and watch that video. Okay, so another job that I had was the hygiene hero. And they basically would give germ gel to everyone. We called it germ gel. And it's just like hand sanitizer, and they go and they give a little pump to all the kiddos, and they were the hygiene hero. Super simple, but also another really fun job. I also would have had the DJ. So the DJ for us would, I had a bell that we would ring to transition between centers. So they would go ring the bell. We would say, freeze, hands on top, everybody stop. And then we would clean up, and then we would rotate our centers. I also have done it where I would use we had an iPad and they would play the music. And so we'd rotate our centers and we would play a song as we rotated, as we cleaned up and as we rotated. So they got to press the button on the iPad to switch the music, which was super, super fun. The last job that I had was the meteorologist, and they would go outside and they'd open up the classroom door and they'd look up and see what the weather was doing, and then they'd come back and report it to us, and then they would put it on the calendar during our calendar time. They would slide over, say what the weather looked like, and we would some teachers do it where you can tally it. We just kind of had little stickies to kind of see what the full week had looked like. This job also goes great with the weather song by Dr. Jean, so make sure you check that out too. Okay, and I just want to throw some quick honorable mentions in there as well. So the first one is a photographer. So I love the idea of this where you have a student that takes your class iPad and they take pictures. They go around, and if they're able to, which I feel like most kids are able to kind of navigate like a digital iPad or a phone at this point. And so they can kind of snap pictures each week of the kids, and then you can kind of use those pictures and do like a class album later on, or use it for a slideshow for your open house, or just memories or whatever you want to do with it, but you can kind of give that job to the photographer. Another honorable mention is to have someone an on-call or a substitute. So anytime a kiddo is gone, then you can have that student just kind of step in and do their job for the day. And so with these 12 jobs, I had more than 12 students. So I would typically do 2 students per job. So I would have 2 line leaders, because I would have 2 line, a boy line and a girl line, 2 cabooses. I would have 2 pledge leaders, 2 librarians. So you can also double up, which kind of helps because then you have kind of more accountability from the other kiddos. And so maybe you say, I don't really want to do classroom jobs. It just seems like a lot of work to manage, which I totally get that. If you choose not to, another alternative that you can do is do boss of the day. So some teachers do it where they just pick a kiddo and they're essentially the teacher's helper, and they kind of do all the things for that day. And that's just easier for them to manage. Just pick one kiddo to kind of do all the things. So it's totally up to you and how you want to do it. I personally I liked having the classroom jobs. I liked having everybody kind of having a job. But it's absolutely up to you and what you want to do and what's best for your class. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. We talked about 12 different jobs, classroom jobs that you can use, as well as what they look like. And we also talked about just a quick alternative if you don't want to use classroom jobs. Either way, if you choose to do classroom jobs or just a boss for the day, I really do recommend having some sort of just responsibility for your kiddos. It's just so good for them to learn it. And it really can just help create this camaraderie and a sense of teamwork in your classroom, make it flow more smoothly, and then it's just less put on you, right? It doesn't need to all be put on you. You don't need to do everything. The kids can take ownership, and they want to. They love helping out and having being a part of something bigger. So don't forget to watch my video on how to set up classroom procedures. That will make a world of difference, I promise. It will just really help you have your classroom run that much smoother, and you get a little special treat in that one. All right, that's it for now, my friend. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, happy teaching.